Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Tunnel Vision. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, publisher over at USCfootball.com. And we're joined in studio. Former USC safety Cody Romness is here. We're going to talk about what he's been doing the last, 10 years or so. Cody, you played SC back in, 2010 to 2012, that time frame?
Yeah, it's been a while now. It's officially a decade. But yeah, 2012 is when I graduated.
You still look young, so that's good.
I appreciate that.
It's been a while. It wasn't that long ago. I'm like, things go quick. I've been covering this team a long time. But follow him on Twitter over at Cody Romness. Same thing on Instagram and all that stuff?
That's it. Yep, nice, clean, and simple.
Nice. So Cody sent me some really cool photos. I'm really interested to, his story is kind of cool, and he's close by here in the South Bay with his new business. And I guess not new business, it's been around 6 or 7 years now. But yeah, maybe if you want to tell everyone just kind of what, the business you guys started and who's been involved and what you guys are doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I came into SC originally in the music business program. I wanted to be a music business producer. And then I got involved in SC football. I actually walked on my sophomore year. And then I started on kickoff my senior year. I was traveling my junior year. And then after sort of college out in the working world, it's this giant, any athlete kind of knows, it's a giant void. And you miss your teammates, you miss the structure, you miss the environment, you miss the results that you were getting, the culture, kind of all those things that you take for granted when it's just everything that you do all the time. So ended up starting what is our business now, Allegiate, which is we took our collegiate strength and conditioning program that we had as athletes at SC and we replicated it as a boutique fitness concept. So in the fitness space, there's kind of big box gyms where you go do your own thing, and then the class-based space is where we play. I partnered with a former teammate, Steve Blackheart, who was a wide receiver there, and then Tim Karen, who was the associate strength coach there. And that was about 7 years ago that we launched this thing, and we've got 3 locations now, all in Los Angeles, and we're shooting to open hopefully that 4th and 5th in the next 18 months.
It sounds really cool. It's funny. One of the things that interested me, I'm 52 years old now, but probably like 2018, 2019, I was just like, I'm 6'3", I got up to about 225, and I play beach volleyball. I'm like, I'm just not in the kind of shape that I want to be in. And I started taking classes, at my local gym, and lost a bunch of weight, feel really strong, and I've been doing pretty good since then. You fall off a little bit sometimes, but seeing what you guys do, it just kind of really interests me. It's not just the former USC player aspect, but the fact that you guys worked out so much, and then you team up with one of your former strength coaches, like, hey, let's do a gym. I mean, this is stuff we did all the time. It seems like it's natural. You're like, hey, we know how to do this.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can kind of keep that going, like after college, it was really interesting for me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And honestly, I think that narrative resonates with a lot of former college athletes that are out there. It's a certain personality type. You're used to coaches, you're used to high level competition, you're used to structure, you're working a 40-hour plus work week on top of your school curriculum and trying to maintain a social life. So it's just a different lifestyle. And then you sort of get out and now you're this former athlete, and it's just like, wow, there's, where is all that stuff that I had? And for a lot of athletes, you just tap back in and have that team again and have that environment and get good results and then go on with the rest of your day. I think that's resonated with a lot of people. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
I got I'm representing the hat here. Before we go any further, how do people, if they want to get involved in this and you want to get trained by former USC athlete or strength and conditioning coach, where would they go?
Yeah, so the business is called Allegiate. That's spelled ALLEGIATE. Our website is allegiategym.com. So clean and simple on that. And that's probably the best place to check us out. We're at Allegiate Gym on Instagram. That's probably the best social media. A lot of videos. We do a lot of stuff on there. So, and But yeah, we've got locations. We've got our first location was in the South Bay, so right on the border of Hermosa Redondo. Second location was Allegiate Santa Monica, right there on 7th and Broadway in the heat of battle. And then the third one is Century City, so right there on Constellation and Century Park East. So we've kind of got a nice triangle now in LA.
Yeah, we should have done like an on location one, because you literally like a mile or two from here, right? It's like that's not that far, right?
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
but
studio?
believe it or not, gyms aren't that quiet and probably not conducive to good podcasts. But
We could have gone and you could have like worked me out and made me puke or something and just do some B-roll.
no, you're looking good, man. You're looking good.
You definitely look good. It's funny seeing we're down at practice, and I don't know if this happens all the time. And when you were there was definitely coaching changes, and Aaron Osmus was the head strength and conditioning coach. That's one of the buzzwords whenever a new coach takes over. It's like, oh, the strength coach, everything is so much better. And did you guys hear that back then? And you talk to we would talk to you guys and like, oh my God, the workouts are so much harder and everyone's working and everyone's stronger and faster. It seems like that's just the narrative all the time. But like what I'm seeing at USC, like they definitely look bigger, stronger, faster. But I guess it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I'm super biased. I can just speak with my experience. I mean, I loved more than anything our strength and conditioning experience. I mean, the level of intent they're putting in, the athletes that you're around, the focus, the efficiency, just the environment and energy. I can remember at one point Christian Tupou, who was a defensive lineman there and captain of the team. Something happened. The place exploded. This was in the old Heritage Hall, and he just takes the chalk bin and he just chucks it on the ceiling. The place goes bananas, and I just remember like, my God, is this a rock concert or a freaking workout? So yeah, I mean the level of organization and everything at SC is just, I mean, when you're in it, it's a joke. It is so dialed. Everything's taken care of for you, the little details. Like it was just, I always tell people it was the best business experience I got was playing football, because you get to see high-level leadership like Coach Kiffin, Coach Monty Kiffin, Coach Ed Orgeron at the time. You get to see how players interact. You get to see how a big business like that is structured in terms of travel, in terms of compliance, like all those things that on game day you don't really think about. They're just happening. But my goodness, the amount of stuff that goes on behind the team and the organization it's just incredible.
Christian Tupou, if I'm not mistaken, he's involved. He got involved in strength the conditioning world afterwards, right? Like was he at USC? I forgot.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. He was Coach Aaron Osmus. Took a break from SC, worked at an equipment company called Sorinex, selling squat racks, which is fortuitously the company that Allegiate uses for all of our squat racks.
Okay.
And Coach AA was our sales rep. And then he came back to SC and he was a strength coach there, brought on Tupou and Tupou, passed his CSCS in like just some extraordinarily short amount of time. And now Tupou, I believe, is up at Oregon as a strength coach.
Oh, okay. So he's still involved.
Still in the business.
You mentioned the racks. So I'm going to put up a couple of these pictures. There's like some of the racks there. But these look really fancy. These are the Sorinex ones?
Yeah, these are the Sorinex racks.
This looks like legit. Like, I mean, if you want to explain kind of what's going on here, maybe what the differentiations are.
Yeah. It's literally a collegiate strength conditioning weight room. So if you've ever walked into one of those things and you see the racks all up and down, the nicest barbells and bumpers, and the nicest flooring, like it's all the same stuff. All credit to Tim, my business partner, because he built out the John McKay weight room at the time, because he was a coaching staff that moved from Heritage into McKay Center.
Okay.
And so all the equipment purchases and stuff, they were running that and organizing that, right? So he had that, plus he built the weight room over at Army West Point, so he took kind of that knowledge into what we're doing. So, any college athlete would walk in there and be like, oh my gosh, this feels like home. But it's, but on the other side is like, we're not just for college athletes. So if you're a novice, you can kind of walk in there and you're like a deer in headlights. I tell my front desk staff, like if you see somebody going deer in headlights when they first walk in, like this looks way too intense, we kind of got to like, hey, I know this might look intense, but I promise we've got beginner programs. It's just kind of finding the right program for you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because like when I first started doing classes, I think I did some HIIT classes, and those were okay because there wasn't anything super crazy. But I've done like, I go to like a CrossFit thing, and there's all this technical, like, military lifting, and you feel like you're trying to go fast and keep up with people, but you're not maybe doing it right. I've done spin classes, which take a while, but you're on a bike. It's not really, it's hard to screw that up sometimes. But just feel like, how do you get people sort of into it? Because it does, just looking at those pictures, it looks kind of intimidating.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's the sphere that I've been living in as like a marketer in the last 7 years, is how do we take this thing that can be very intimidating at the front and get enough people to say like, huh, this is for me. You know, it's not just for former college athletes. And I mean, it's tough, you know, like some people will definitely walk in and they'll just sort of take themselves out. They'll select themselves out like, no, this isn't for me. But, you know, strength training on the mainstream sort of level is conversation is happening a lot more. I think people are not thinking about cardiovascular and tired and sweaty as the only way to do things. And we've seen kind of people resonating with structure, with intention, with strength training, all those things that collegiate athletes get. It's just right now, it's only kind of focused in the collegiate strength and conditioning or the professional strength and conditioning space. So there's a bit of a kind of mainstream disconnect between what's possible and kind of what they have access to. So it's a challenging thing, but honestly, on you keep people safe, you get them great results, and then they just become your evangelists, and it makes it easier and easier.
So this is to let people. It's like it's more class based. It's not like here we have a whole bunch of amazing weights that you can use, or if that's something you can do on your own. But a lot of it is class based, where you're doing I don't know if it's synchronized lifting, but you're kind of lifting together. Like how does it work?
Structured. Thanks for calling that out. Structured strength training. So it's in the class format. I usually describe it more of, hey, this is like banging weights with your buddies in the off season. It's closer to that vibe than it is like going to an Orange Theory class. Nothing against Orange Theory, but there's just a different sort of level of intent and kind of structure to it. So yes, people come to a session, they sign up for that session, they get paired at a squat rack with their training partner. There's iPads at the squat rack tracking their weights. So they can track their progress and stuff like that. We can measure bar speed. So a lot of those really cool sort of bells and whistles that you get in the strength training space are sort of just plugged into your experience. So as a member, you just show up. 60 minutes later, you've gotten cutting edge mobility, cutting edge strength training, cutting edge conditioning, cutting edge breath work, and then you're done. And yeah, that's the main structure.
So it's kind of mimicking what you would get when you would go to an Aaron Osmus workout when you were an athlete at USC, and like maybe you were in the 6 a.m. group or you're in the 8 a.m. group or whatever. You would go in and everyone's doing, or tailored to their needs or whatever, what position you're playing, but you're getting this sort of like college, weight room experience that you really only get if you were a college athlete.
Exactly right. It's the look, if there was a better way to get athletes stronger, more mobile, more durable, it would be happening in the collegiate strength and conditioning space, because those people's jobs are depending on their athletes not getting hurt. Because if you get an athlete hurt, it's not something you celebrate. Like, unfortunately in CrossFit, it's like, no, you're out of a job. Yeah. And if you aren't getting these guys or gals bigger, faster, stronger, more durable, somebody else is. And like, I think the mainstream conversation and understanding of strength and conditioning is a really crucial, important part, particularly in football, is like, it's obvious, where it wasn't always obvious, right? Where you look back in the history, this is a more mainstream kind of phenomenon in the last, 10, 20 years. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to get trained like the best athletes in the country are trained in the same standards and caliber, that's what we're replicating.
Okay, so if you have like the weekend warriors like myself or whatever, like want to hit the golf ball a little further, or I want to jump a little higher for my beach volleyball crap, I would go in there and take classes. But are there people that are like either high school players that are trying to make a college team or whatever, get recruited, or players from college, or maybe like El Camino, someone comes by, they're on the basketball team there or anything? Do you work with all those kind of athletes too?
Less so. We do in the private training space, so we could build a custom program and that kind of thing. But we made a decision early on not to be a let's get you ready for season sort of place. Okay. Now we've got some friends that are still pro athletes that train with us over the course, and that was something that we would do. But there's so many people doing these combine camps and things like that, working with pro athletes, and frankly, it's not a great business because they're spotty. They want everything for free. And
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. But like on the adult group or like the weekend warrior, it's a lot of these people really appreciate training. They are consistent. They're not going anywhere. They're not spotty. You don't have to ride them just to get in for a session. Like, they're showing up and thanking you and wanting to be coached. Yeah. And if you want to be a coach, that's like a very fulfilling thing that I think a lot of people get caught up in the glitz and glam of pro athletes or soon to be athletes versus like building a really stable and solid business while still still doing the things you set out to do as a coach.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crowded space, right? There's a lot of, I see gyms popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
What's sort of like the differentiator? I mean, we've talked about some of the stuff, but how do you guys market that as this is how we're different from other places you could go?
The line that I've really tried to lean into is just focusing on strength training.
Okay.
In the boutique space, there's a lot of cardiovascular focused.
Yes.
There's nobody really saying like we are a pure strength training gym, and not like you have to be careful too. It's not like a powerlifty macho who's stronger than who, like, Iron Palace place. It's like very smart, very intentional, but still strength training focused.
Okay.
For somebody that I usually say like the type of person that resonates the most with Allegiate, maybe they're a former CrossFitter or a former F45 or a former athlete, or if you're further in your fitness journey, you much quicker appreciate and understand all the things and the nuances that are going on in the program and the setup and all that stuff, that I think that it becomes really sticky for you. If you've never walked into a gym before, there's just too much going on and you're not really going to kind of understand the nuances and all the things, though we could still be a great fit for that person. So we focus on strength training. It's a focus on technique. It's a focus on a range of motion. It's a focus on program, tracking results, training with intent and purpose, where I think a lot of this kind of like, hey, keep the body guessing, never do the same thing twice. It's just marketing lingo that's really catchy. But frankly, like, how do you get better at anything? You have to be consistent. You have to show up like time in and time out, and then you can't get hurt, Yeah.
It's funny. I had Aaron Osmus when second time around at USC. I think sitting probably in the chair that you're sitting in, right there. And it was pandemic time, and people couldn't work. He had to like create these programs for athletes that were working out at home, and
so hard.
It was definitely, and it's funny. His mentality, you could tell, was like, I'd rather you go push a Volkswagen than do like just body weight stuff, and. Is that? I mean, like you had to have weights, right? Like I was trying to get him like, hey, but you're at home if you got to do push-ups or curls with 5-pound dumbbells, a million of them. It was like that was not on his mind. Like it was like, no, you have to lift a shit ton of weight. It was kind of this thing. Is that sort of? I don't want to say the same mentality, but it's like you want to have a lot of weights involved, and maybe there's higher reps or things like that. Long. Whatever, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. There's first off, I love Coach AA, and he is the most consistent, and that guy's been the same guy forever. He is who he is, and there's different types of strength coaches, right? There's kind of the super sciencey strength coach. There's the hey, just push a Volkswagen, make no excuses type like caricature.
Yes.
And there's all sort of in between. And AA was part of why I love him is, I mean, I would walk in just as an athlete, I'd see him in the weight room wearing this giant fleece, probably like a quadruple XL fleece in black and black shorts, and just benching and squatting. That's it. That's like all I would ever see him doing. And I made a joke to him, Tom. I'm like, Coach, like literally, what are you going to do today in the gym? Are you going to like squat and bench? He was like, I'm going to squat and bench right now. And I was just like, God, this is ridiculous. But I just love it so much. He got a lot of people strong. And I mean, that guy could motivate that whole staff, but Coach AA, you just get him in front of a group of men. It was just, by the way, it's not the easiest court to hold over of like a team of SC football players in the weight room, like ready to rock. We'll sniff you out pretty fast if you can't sort of hold that. And I thought Coach AA did such an awesome job with that as always.
It comes up a lot, and I feel like when we deal with a lot of the USC fans, over the years, and if the team's not doing well, you're looking for reasons why, and like 2 people tore their ACL, and they're like, "Who's the strength coach? He sucks." There's instantly, or there's 3 hamstrings that got pulled.
Yeah.
And they're or if they blow a lead in the 4th quarter, like, oh, their conditioning stinks. Yeah. There's a lot of that sort of going on. Like the fact that you've gone through, the collegiate program, and now you've worked in this space for 6-7 years. Have you and you talked about there's a wide range. Like your strength coach could be like the science guy that has like beakers and all kinds of stuff, figuring out all the whatever,
right.
the recovery formulas that you need to drink or sniff or whatever it is, and then the push the Volkswagen guy. Like, is there something that you feel works best for college sports, specifically college football, or some kind of mix of all that?
I mean, this is kind of a cheat answer, but if you're winning, I don't think anybody cares. And if you're not, it starts to be like, well, what are the potential reasons why? And you start looking into other aspects like that, right? So, yeah, I think there's, definitely some truth to athletes being primed, ready to go for a season. I'm not saying that that's not true, but I think most of the time people start looking for something and to point the finger somewhere, and a head's got to fall because, frankly, it is diplomatic, it is political. There are other things on the job, and sometimes you just got to do that to sort of appease the masses. And I think sometimes careers kind of end that way, unfortunately. But it's part of the game. But from learning from Tim, it's how dedicated these people are professionally to the good coaches, to learning more, to honestly the strength conditioning space. These guys are always learning. I mean, it's super inspiring from just the continuing education. They just never stop learning. They're so hungry. And I see these guys like studying all the time. I'm like, what the hell are you guys studying now? Like, you just took a course, something new came out. I'm like, this is wild, so yeah.
Wanted to talk about the team now, and I have a picture. I know you were down there because I got a picture with you and Lincoln Riley here. Good stuff there. We can tell that story. But have you been around the team at all? Have you got to talk to Benny Wiley or anything like that?
So that photo right there, that's my buddy Kevin Paquette, who was a fraternity brother at USC with me, and we've stayed in touch. And he works for Wells Fargo, and he's kind of been in that sort of an investment space ever since we got out of college. Really, really sharp guy, amazing guy, diehard Trojan. And he hit me up. He's like, hey, I got this event that I want to take you to. It's through Wells Fargo. It's with Coach Lincoln Riley. It's all about the football team. Leinart was there, and I have a same photo of that with Leinart and stuff. So that was my sort of most recent dive into it, and that was really cool. I got my 30-second elevator pitch to Lincoln Riley about SC, and hopefully someday I see him again. It's like, hey, maybe you're the gym guy or something like that, maybe, right? And so it's just been really fun again to be an SC fan. In some senses, we're fair weather fans. If again, America loves a winner. If people are winning, they're showing up. And just to see the swag coming back to SC and getting the energy back around it with Coach Riley and what they're doing over there, I think is awesome. So I'm tapping into it more than I have in the past, but we were talking about it offline a little bit earlier. I'm pretty binary. Like, I'll be really in on something and I shut everything else off, or I'll be like really in on something else and like something kind of got to give. I'm just not good at multitasking or paying attention to other stuff. So.
That's right. Yeah, Matt Leinart was in the background of the picture, I think, with Sean Cody and stuff.
Yeah, Sean Cody got in the media space, and he was leading the interview with Riley, and I think Ed Stewart is the athletic director over there. And we were talking to him about kind of the back end and stuff that they're doing, and listening to Sean Cody and Leinart sort of tell these old football stories, and I kind of forget of like, God dang, just the era that they had when they were playing there, and listening to them tell stories was really fun to see. And then just you're with a bunch of like bankers, and they're really like successful clients, and these guys are just eating it up too, So it's a classic SC. I was just reminded of just like, man, it is such a powerhouse place as USC. I mean, the legacy, the winning, just everything, even just a small blip on some of these coaches' experience, just to tap into that was just humbling and just a reminder of how powerful a network that place really is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you got connected with Benny Wiley. I mean, he's in the South Bay too. I see him walking around in Hermosa. Probably not as much now with the season going on, but it'd be curious to see, like, swap ideas or whatever. Just and we've heard really good things from the players and coaches, about what he's been able to do strength-wise, and players love it. They get stronger, faster. You just look at them. We were doing interviews like this morning, and you're like, there's guys that are just like, they look jacked. You're like, okay,
so fun. It's so fun to see. You're training all off season. You're sleeping, you're eating, and that's just your job. And you just get chiseled into this machine, and then you go into fall camp, and it is just so brutal, but it's also really fun. But I used to say, like, man, I'm so glad that I got the experience of collegiate fall camp, but I would never want to do it again in some senses, just because it is so all on all the time. Although being locked up with all your buddies again, just playing football, I take that back, would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Are you, so for like now, are you in like mid-fall camp shape? Like, do you keep yourself like that the way now, like the way you're working out, or how, like, where would you put yourself?
Yeah, we joke, we call it the 12-month off season,
Okay.
Allegiate. And so it's kind of like, okay, if you don't have something that you're preparing for, why is one training? And it's just, there's the obvious things, health and happiness and emotional regulate, all that kind of look good, feel good kind of thing. But I also just love the process. I love training, and you can be smart with it, and you just, I don't know, you just feel better. So I'm on a good training push right now. I've been training pretty consistently for like the last 6 to 8 weeks, which is
Okay.
You don't always get to. I mean, I've been inconsistent, but just really be dialed in and kind of lock in. Maybe I am just trying to re-tap into my summer weights program and live that again. But yeah.
No, that's fun. Do you guys keep? Is there like former players? You have like a text chain that you guys all chat about stuff and everything?
Yeah, I'm still close with a handful of guys. Wes Horton was a D end at the time, and his brother Shane. I went to his bachelor party, and Wes just got married, so that was awesome. He was at my bachelor party and my wedding and stuff. And we TJ McDonald, the safety.
Oh yeah.
We
He was with the Rams for a while.
Yep, and then went to Miami for a bit. So I'm still close with some of those guys, and I'll see every now and then social media will send like, hey, so and so. It's like, oh my God, I haven't talked to like Anthony Sorrow in forever, so follow him, talk to him, and it's such an amazing filter, SC football. SC is, but then SC football even further, that, and you spend so much time with these people that like you instantly just pick things back up. And I think that's a really fun just community to have. I've got one of my best friends, Peter Yobo, was from Africa. I convinced him to walk on the team. And so it's all such a big part of our life, and you just snap right back into it.
Yeah, it's funny. Every event where it's a golf tournament or whatever it is, and you see former players, they've had some Hall of Victory events where they had all the quarterbacks get back together. So like run into like John David Booty and Mark Sanchez and a bunch of dudes that you haven't seen for a while, and then the linemen, same sort of thing. I mean, Sean Cody's around all the time. He's great, but like Frosty Rucker, there's a whole bunch of dudes, and it's funny. You feel like I can feel their reunion when they're coming back and swapping stories, and it's just like kind of these high school reunions all over again. But it seems like there could be some disconnect between like the different groups. So it's good, like if there's a bigger event, you can kind of get everyone together. It seems like a lot of them are just, you kind of have the guys that you know from your era or whatever. But
I think some are better than others in terms of kind of keeping that going. But it's just such and maybe I guess I would kind of think about it this way. It's just such an intense time and connection. And it also depends on wins and losses, I think, a little bit too. But even setting that aside, like you're with these people for so long, traveling to all these places, doing all the things, it just forges just by just sheer time spent and the pressure that's on you. And then maybe that is kind of what copy pastes over to different generations or different teams, where you sort of still feel that connection and bond to SC.
Yeah, it's a great fraternity you guys have, and it's always fun to talk to former players. I mean, I appreciate you coming in here and spending some time. I know it's been like kind of a crazy. I've been doing a lot of interviews today, but this was a good way to end it. This was a lot of fun. It's always fun to hear guys, and I think the fans get so involved in the players, and if they have favorite players from recruiting, whatever it is. Yeah. They love hearing about like the stories afterwards, because like you're playing there for 4 years, and then who knows what's going on after that. So just kind of hearing what's going on. So I'm really happy for your success. I'm sure the USC fan base will be too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that 100%. Thanks for having me on. If there's people out here that want to learn more either about Allegiate or connect about whatever I could potentially help with, I'm Cody at AllegiateGym.com. If you're out there in the East Coast or Texas or something like that, and you think about, hey, Allegiate would be really cool here, maybe we should talk. If there's people
franchising,
or people interested in investing in fitness concepts, it's definitely something that we're actively talking about and taking right now. And the best people that we usually connect with are tapped into SC, because you just understand it a little bit more, I think, rather than somebody that doesn't. So. I'm absolutely open and hoping a conversation comes out of this. If not, no worries. But just thanks for letting me tell kind of this story. And SC football was such a foundational piece of my life. It's cool to think about sort of how that set me up for today.
Sweet. All right, Cody. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Number 22. That was my number back in the day. It's my birthday, so that's what probably. Love it. Is that why did you have that number? What was that? That's a good one, right?
They just threw it to me, to be honest with you. Actually, let's go one sec. This is a funny story.
Sure. Yeah.
I come on. So I walk on. Right, you're the lowest of the low on the totem pole. I'm about to. I can't find my way around Heritage Hall, and I get pulled out by my shirt as the door is closing into the team meeting, the first one. I'm slammed up against the wall by Coach O, and he goes, "Don't you ever be late to my meeting again." I was like, "Coach, I am so sorry." So then I leave that meeting. I finally get my jersey. They throw me number 2, which is Taylor Mays, and he just left. So here I am wearing Taylor Mays' jersey, and then ended up having a couple good plays, made some tackles, made some friends on the team, and then they gave me 22.
Okay. Wow. So that's cool. That's awesome. Well, good memories there. I appreciate, again, you coming on, and best of luck with everything. Make sure you guys go check them out on the social media or shoot them an email. And thanks again, and thanks everyone for tuning in to the special edition of Tunnel Vision. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.
Thanks.